Well, it's good to be back. Thank you, everyone that prayed for us. As I share these things here, I consider that it wasn't just me that went. Your prayers, your support, your everything that you poured into it allowed us to go. I'm in a sense just bringing the news back of what happened. And this started earlier than this year. 7 years ago, we were there, and even before that, we got to meet Andrew. Got to praying in our basement. And a lot of things transpired the last 10 years. But 7 years ago, as I was going over, I sensed the Lord was saying that He wanted our people over there the last 10 years, or last 70 years. And I was trying to figure out what He meant by that. I shared it with the rest of our group. And the last time we were there, we had amazing testimonies of what happened. And then as we're leaving, there were some prophecies, some preaching out on the streets and stuff, and some declarations we were making. And I just remember one person came up to us and he said, "What you did here was good, but this is not the end. There's something more God wants out of your lives for us." And I just had to think about that. What is that? And Arlen here, thank you for joining us, Arlen. He was along the first time. And so we decided to plan to go again this year, and then COVID hit and we weren't able to go. And then, which seemed to always be this problem with the visas, and all of a sudden everything fell together where they were able to get all the stuff we needed. And so we decided to go over. Lily and I went over with Aaron Fisher and Rebecca Liz, and Daniel Bodler met us over there. And so, I was hoping they would also be here, but they weren't able to come the next number of weeks, and so we decided we're going to do it without them. Do you want to come up and share as well, Lillian? Some point? This is what they put out in their declaration out over there was a breakthrough summit. Nothing is too hard for the Lord to do. And so we agreed with what the word was. Here's, I got like 100 slides, so I'm not going to stick long on some of these. I just want to sort of give a heartbeat of it. Here was our crew from Pennsylvania as we got to the airport. Aaron Fisher and Rebecca Liz, Lillian and myself. We met up with Daniel Botter over there. Daniel Mary Beth, as many of you would know, he's serving in Ghana right now. And so we met up with him. It was 5 of us. This was our load of luggage. We had a max amount of bags we could take, so we took 3,200 meals along from Blessing of the Hope. So everybody had everything they could carry plus. And then when we get over there, they didn't show up. 6 of our bags didn't show up. Somehow it was messed up over there, but they came through in time. And so we had a lot of luggage to take along. They're heading out on our plane. And as we got to sit beside the guy right beside me, I asked him what his name is and found out his name was Aaron as well. He was from Bronx, New York, so it was like 3 Aarons sitting in a row. I thought that was pretty cool. So we got to share, and I started asking him what he believes, what his faith is, all this different stuff, and found out he's a believer from Bronx, from up in New York. And so we had some really good conversations, and through that, his friend joined us from the back of the plane because there was a seat beside us, and we started getting into the faith thing that we were learning on, and everyone was digging in. So we had a really good conversation, and they're on their way to Egypt. And so Aaron and his friend Wellington from Bronx, New York, got to spend a number of hours with them. We get on the way over. After that, the next plane, I was sitting beside a guy from Indonesia, and I tried to figure out, like, the certain person beside me is not just there by accident. Why did God bring him here beside me? And so I tried to open up a conversation and figure who he is, and figure out the guy I was sitting beside was on his way from Indonesia over to Liberia, and I asked him, what his faith is, he believes in Christ and different things like that. He found out he's a Muslim, and he is a CEO of a plantation over there in Liberia, and they're working 20 to 40,000 acres of plum trees for oil. And I asked him what people get paid, and he said they get paid around $200 to $700 a month for whatever they work. And they're employing right now about 4,000 workers, and they're actually bringing church and school into with these people. So their vision is actually to transform that area into Muslim. So he's traveling 13 hours, 3 different plane rides to that area. So God's hand is on that area. God wants to do something, and they say over there as well that they're the Christians are being suppressed, and it's like other people are coming in and giving aid, like if there's different faith and stuff. And so that was his vision, and they were. And here's just some pictures of markets along the road. One thing you will find over there is people don't clean up. If it's hard and you're walking down the road, where are you going to start picking trash up? You know, you just let yours lay with everyone else if there's no waste baskets around, or what do you do with it? It's just a whole different culture, a whole different mindset, a whole different mentality. So there's markets set up along the road. There's some more. There's like 1.5 million people in Monrovia, so it's not just a small town. There's a lot of people, a lot of hopelessness, but there's also some people carrying a vision for it. And so that's a picture there of people on the road. There's our local Sheetz gas station, where people fill up. There's our God's Grace gas station. That's where we got our fuel. So it's not quite the same as over here, but here was a man with full service fill up. This time I asked him permission before I took his picture, because the last time I was over there, a guy got raving mad and wouldn't give us gas and stuff. So I made sure that I asked him this time if I could take his picture. And so I told him I love what he's doing. If I wonder if he minds if I take his picture, I had to build him up first, but he allowed me to, and it was good. But yeah, that's all kinds of places along the road where they just bring a gallon of gas and dump it in your vehicle, and nobody fills their tanks up. I don't think they all just get a gallon or whatever they need for that day. It's like everybody lives. You know, we go over there and we have big visions of what you could do. Bring stone in here, bring stone in there. They get a meal a day. Most of them get a meal a day of that, and so they're trying to live for the day. They get through the day. You know, we're thinking like, well, all this stuff you could do. And so it's a completely different mindset. It's incredible how different. Yes, Miriam? Yeah, for the gas. Yeah. Yeah, they have glass jars there. Yeah. Huh? They took us down the road, I know that. We didn't stop. That's what mattered. It took us from A to B, right? And so there was just another view of, you know, the other side of the road. Just that's where a lot of buildings look like. It just, I understood their metal over there is very cheap, and it just turns rust in a year or two. It just doesn't hold up. And so every building looks like it just should be pushed over almost. I mean, as far as because of the way everything looks. But then on the way to the motel, we got a flat tire. So, yeah, that was interesting. There again, they rent a vehicle for the day, and it's just a matter of, you know, from here to there. And so they patch up whatever they can to get it back. It's not a long-term vision of how the next person's going to handle it. It's like, this is what we need to do to get from here to here. But there again, I don't necessarily blame them. That's what, they don't have the extra finances to pay all the other stuff. And here's a guy that was going down the road in front of me. I thought, that's pretty cool. You know, got a pretty wide rig on the road on the little back of a motorcycle. And he goes to pass this guy in front of him. He loses control and flies into the ditch. And he's like, hey, so sorry about that, you know. Everybody keeps on moving. Like, you just bust somebody's windshield. I mean, just mirror out or whatever. It's a light. Nobody stops for anything. Like, you just, you know, there's no stop signs when you're there. You just merge. You just go. And you blow the horn. And if a guy hits you, then so be it, you know. But you're on your way. And so it's a whole different mindset shift. Like, as you're going down the road, like, if it had been us, we're like, hey, you hit my car, right? We're going to pay up. Like, it's like, hey, you know, be on your way. Like, I just hit you. And so that's a little bit the way they operate over there. And everybody does it, I guess. And so that's part of the life, you know. And they make pretty much 4 lanes out of 2 lanes wherever they go. It's, you know, stop signs and horns and people scooting between each other and against each other almost. It's just like, you don't have a lot of extra place. They utilize their space very well. I don't know if I can play this video or not. Okay, it's not playing the video, but it's showing the traffic, and you don't get all the sound effects and the horns, but those little yellow things there, they're all over the place. It's called a KK. And the people, this is just a quick video of people flying past. Has some sound effects with it, makes it a lot better, but just streaking past each other, all kinds of horns blowing in the background, and that's oh yeah, if you can. I know it was playing at home when I played it, so I'm not sure what to. But yeah, it's just a whole mindset. It's just those little KKs flying back and forth, and they're like the Uber of our day. And most of the people don't own vehicles because they're too expensive, and they're flying back and forth along the road all the time. See, everybody just blows and like making sure they're here this side and this side, and wherever they're going, they're blowing like I'm on your left. It's not that they're upset. It's just it's what they like. If we would travel that way and blow horns, people would be shoving their fingers and whatever else around here. But it's like that's just how they live. It's what they're used to. So that's where we're staying. This is a view from our front porch. We had a room like that, 2 levels, and had double locked doors here, the pool over there. That's where we're staying, and I usually like to take a hot bath when I wake up to get my body acclimated for the day, and there was none of that. There wasn't even hot water in the house. So yeah, a little bit of cold water to shower yourself down, and you had one towel for the week, the same towel every day, and I'm guessing the guy before me had the same towel as well. So it's like you make out with what you have. It's not a hardship. I mean, I guess that was our little debrief station that we got together with, ate at. So we're asking, what does Liberia need? And he was saying the problem in Liberia is there's drugs, abandoned families, prostitution, and there's just hopelessness. And if somebody can't supply for their family, they tend to abandon them because they can't face the reality. And so the solution was to create an epidemic of godly men, to see godly leaders raised up. And then, it's the way in any place. It's the way in our own societies. When the society continues to deteriorate, it's because the godly men not stepping up and taking their rightful place, getting involved in all kinds of games or whatever it is, and leave their families behind. And it's always a downfall. Simple things we take for granted. So, Lillian's laughing. So we can't flush anything down the toilet from toilet paper and stuff, but you got to put it in a trash bag. But there's nothing around. There's only one in the house, and it's in the girls' room. What are you going to do about it? And it's just little things that we take for granted. We think we'll just get 2 or 3 more trash cans or get at least something, but there's nothing there. And so thankfully, Lillian had stuck a bag of Sun Chips in my backpack, and so we enjoyed some Sun Chips, and it did a twofold purpose. So it was sort of so there's just a picture of revival, true revival in the hearts of everyone, hunger for more. There were testimonies that came out even the first day and continue to come out that the teaching is different. It goes from heart to heart instead of from head to head, like they're used to. And I think it was just the Holy Spirit was there and was just ministering, a free flow between us. And another thing that what made a difference is when they found out we had an 8th grade education, their thought of America was always they have this high education, and that's why they can do what they do. But if they could only get an education, when they found out that we only got 8th grade education plus, 14-year-old school, whatever you call that, 9th grade, they're like, wow. I mean, we're like, no, you just keep learning. You keep growing the rest of your life. You don't stop just because you don't have a high school or college. And so it sort of seemed like it sort of broke through some of those mindsets that were there. This is a picture of just looking out toward the road from where we're having our meetings. Started raining. Then it rained some more. And so we got the bridge up, going in and out through there, which was pretty wobbly, but it held us up. One day we went exploring in town, just up from a quarter mile down the road from where we're staying, walked out through, and that's the kind of villages. There's also very sensitivity. Some people hate when you take pictures, but still all the children and stuff love it. So it's almost like there's inside a lot of people that's afraid you're going to make money on them or something, I think. And so you sort of had to do it a little discreetly. You just took some photos or did whatever you needed to do. So this was walking down the road. This is our standard road. People travel on, selling stuff along the road, all kinds of goods. This is their market, selling all vegetables, hot peppers. I figured out that peppers are hot. Hot peppers are hot. Hot peppers are hot. Daniel Weiler said he get a whole new appreciation, whole new understanding of what hell's going to be like if your mouth is burning. Like we had this rice and chicken, and Lil was like the first time, don't put too much stuff on. That stuff is hot. And I thought I put a little bit on, but man, my mouth was burning. And that day forth, it's like everything we got was chicken and rice with some hot stuff on, and it was hot. And so thankfully I wasn't at all sick when I was over there, but the last couple of days I felt that something's going on, but I'm getting healed. This is their meat market. Out in the middle of everything, just pick some meat off the tables, and I don't know what to do with the leftover stuff if they're ever refrigerated. I doubt it because I don't know how they would do it. But just like I said, this is selling meat there in the market. This is our team. Lil, Rebecca, Liz, Aaron, Daniel, myself. We got some coconuts and got them to chop some coconuts up for us. Enjoyed some coconuts. There's they use their vehicles to haul stuff. They don't just interesting how they make out with what they got. Here's one morning, me and extra ride. So Aaron and Rebecca Liz headed over in the KK, one of these little things. That was pretty cool. How what? How expensive? I don't know. It was free every time I went, but. No, it was paid by up front. We had sent some money over and stuff. I don't know how expensive it is. I don't think it's very expensive, but we're going out the road. This is the road out from our house, and again, it was actually amazing that it wasn't mud here. I would have thought, like, when here we're over in the rainy season, that it's just going to be a mud hole everywhere, but it really drains well. Actually, it was fairly pleasant to be there. Like, people recommend us not coming in the rainy season. We're like, they can make it, we can too. And it really wasn't that bad. It was mid-70s, but it rained pretty much every day. Like, it's a tin roof, and it reminded us when we're up at a cabin, you get all the rain pouring down on the roof and stuff. It was sort of cool sound. That's another thing that they do over there a lot is they transport stuff on their head. All kinds of places you go, and they have this stuff on their head. This is how they carry stuff. I don't know why. I guess it's just the way their culture is. You might know, right? So like I said, it's cool. I think some of them have a little blanket or something sitting on there, but it's easier. You don't have to carry it. Yeah, I guess. If you're walking down the road and you balance it, you don't have to be holding it with your muscles. Yeah, so there's big plates of stuff they have on their heads. They're walking down the road, and so there they got their pail and everything on there as they're doing other stuff with their hands. So it might be something we need to look into. And then what was sort of cool, the children that went through school last year that we had sponsored as a group here and stuff, we had paid for 150 children to have a scholarship. And they came around the third day. They had like 200 of them showed up. They said they actually ended up taking 221 through the school. And we asked them how many of these would have gone to school if we wouldn't have helped the scholarship. They said hardly any of them. That it's only a few that would have made it any kind of schooling if we wouldn't help them, because it's if they go to public school, it's like 3 times as much, and if you don't get there early in the morning, you got to stand up the whole day, and it's just not a good, pleasant atmosphere. And so then these children came in the forenoon instead of the afternoon, and they were sort of not sure what to do about it because they didn't have food for these people. They only had food for the 300 people that were in the meetings, or 275, whatever it was. And I'm like, well, just go get food. Well, I send them home, or I think they were having their first meal of the day anyway. So we went and got a whole bunch of food for them yet. And they were dishing out big heaping piles of food in each plate. And I'm like, this little child's going to eat like this much rice and beans, rice and chicken, but they would. But I guess if it was their first meal of the day, they're probably hungry with 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And they were there, understood they eat the bones and everything. They don't waste anything. They chop everything up and eat it. So it's like it's whatever's there to eat, they eat. It's like. But that was really special. It's really special to do, be able to meet them and encourage them. But there's also a lot of coordination over there. So this is the area where we want to. This is actually the property I ended up buying last year. It's the backside that they're cleaning up. And so Aaron and Andrew are big visionary dreamers, so they're dreaming what they could build this thing into, like 3 levels, 2 levels of school and 1 level of places to stay, like if teams come over. So that's what they're planning right now. And so Aaron and I were both Uncle Aaron. So everyone, all the children were calling us Uncle Aaron. It was like they both had the same name. There, Aaron's putting some food of their dehydrated food from Blessings of Hope, putting it in with their rice, their mixers and stuff. So here was a meeting place. They came out for food afterwards. And another thing that they have there, the internet just goes up and off and on whenever. Like you're in the middle of going down the road at night, and all of a sudden everything goes dark. And when it's going to come back on, but it's very spotty. That's why even that time when we were trying to do live stream, you don't know when it's going to go on and when the reception's not going to be there. It's just it's that way. So here they got them organized in their seats as we're preparing for some meals, eagerly waiting for their food. We gave all the children a bag of dehydrated food, which has 8 meals in it. We were able to take that home, so they were happy with that. There's Aaron passing out some food. More pictures of that. Making new friends. Like I said, the culture there acts like they don't want pictures, but all the children wanted pictures. Everyone wanted pictures with you. And another thing that we sort of ran into that we're up against is over there they have this mindset that you bring a person in and then you take them out when the meeting's over. You don't really interact with the people. Well, we wanted to interact with the people. Like we came to meet people. We didn't just want to be taken back into the back room somewhere. We wanted to see people. And so we sort of had to battle against that mindset, but we did break through. Like even afterwards, like we weren't interested in going to eat. We want to meet the children. We want to meet the people that are around there. Like we can eat later. Like I told them we have food you know not of. Right? Like Jesus said, like we're not worried about the food right now. We want to meet the people. This man here understood he gets $120 a month. Last year we helped 5 of his children go through school. And so this year we're looking at doing a program where we have a match fund where they do $20 a month times 8 months, and then 9th month is free, which will help them be still about a third of the cost of what their costs are over there. But it's still that much. But someone like this, if he has 5 children going to the school and he has to come up with $20 a month, times 5 is $100. He makes $120 a month. What is his option? Sitting at home doing nothing, and he doesn't have anything, or his 5 children, or sending his 5 children to school and going to work for $120 and at least trying to make out with what he has. I don't know if his wife has a job, but the mentality of what we see is just, it's so different because they're living for the day. Like people get 1 meal a day, if that, and so they're living that way, and it's a complete different mindset. And how would we do? How will we do, like, if we wouldn't be able to pay our children's schooling and stuff? Like, there's something about a man that wants dignity to be able to support his family. And so that's another thing that we're trying to help them, is to get a vision, get a plan. Yeah. That'd be considered like $120 US. It's not much difference. $120 a month. That's what I'm talking about. It is equivalent to our economy. No, it doesn't go far. It doesn't go much further than around here. The food over there isn't cheap. It's not like the stuff is super, super cheap and stuff. It might be a little bit less, but overall it's not. The Liberian dollar to the American dollar really changed over COVID and stuff, and it's actually not. You have the extreme poverty and then people that are sort of living it somewhat, but it's still not much difference. Like there's no way you can make out with just a couple $100. It just doesn't pan out. Plus trying to help your children and stuff. So I don't know if he gets support or if his wife or something works, but it's. That's Lil, releasing what she does best, loving on people. So yeah, it was just a lot of children around there. All wanted. So here's a picture of this is actually the building that we bought behind behind the church there, and it was interesting that we got it for $17,000, and they had another offer for $50,000, but he actually turned that offer down because he wanted to sell it to us, with the school and everything that we're doing there. So it was definitely the favor of the Lord. So there they had a bunch of children lined up between there, getting ready for some food. There was our team with Andrew as the one that is sort of our connecting point over there, that's pulling things together. And we gave him the bags of food. This is the front of the building that we purchased, that we want to redo, and there's, I think, 3 people living in there right now. So the other half is still being used by something. So they had different age groups were lining up at different places. They haven't had some order, but there's our title deed of everything. And then, like here, they're getting ready to leave, and you pile in as many people in that bus as can get in. I think they got about 100 in there. But it was not like 2 people per seat or whatever. It was like just get in, shift it together, and they try to stack them in a way that they come out the right way. Like when they get to a location, they don't have to, know which ones are coming off first, so they're sort of stacked in the way they come out. But it works. Then we were going home on a KK. There again, it's just people everywhere, people blowing. There's some shirts they gave us. They made shirts with Empowering Generations on. That was pretty cool. Just gave us a nice shirt, all of us, of Empowering Generation, bring hope to the future. So they were able to bless us with that. This was interesting. When Daniel was sharing on Africa, they all have this mindset that they could only come to America, they could make out well. And it was sort of a jolt to them when they realized that Daniel lived in America and went to Ghana. Like here he went from the land of the milk and honey that they're looking for and coming over to start a church under a tree in Ghana. So there was like a whole new, stuff was breaking, mindsets were shifting just by thinking that thought pattern versus everyone getting out of where they're at. So that was definitely a good thing there. It was Aaron Fisher teaching on joy, elements of joy. Here I was sharing on how you can change a life in 15 seconds. I remembered it. I remembered the last number of years, and then Lou Sterrett brought it out again. How we can change lives in 15 seconds. You want to stand up, Willie? All you need to do is walk up to somebody, look them in the eye, physical touch, eye contact, and words of affirmation. Like if you say, Willie, I appreciate you. I see how you're growing yourself, how you're learning, how you continue to develop yourself, and I appreciate that about you. And I see that God is going to use you powerfully as you continue to serve, as you continue to look to Him. I value our friendship, and I value what you bring to the body here, and I want to encourage you to go for all the Lord has for your life. You're a blessing. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
You know how hard that is? And you can do that everywhere you go. Physical touch. Look someone in the eyes, give them words of affirmation, and build each other up. And so I did a demonstration with Lawrence up front there, and you know what? From that day on, from that moment on, I knew his name, and there was a heart connection between us just by that 15 seconds of speaking into his life. And we have that power in our tongues when we go out to do that to everywhere we go. And then the last day, they gave us some gifts. They came out with these shirts and hats that we put on, you know. So he gave us shirts and hats, and that was there. So it was sort of just a cool token to send some along for our wives, some dresses. This guy here was doing all the sound and stuff, all the behind the scenes work. He's actually one of Andrew's adopted children. When the war was, he got 3 children that nobody would take. He had got all kinds of people in the orphanage, and most of them they were able to locate grandparents or something from, but these children they couldn't trace anybody anywhere for them. And so this was one of those boys that they picked up. And so it's just sort of so much horror. Like that this war 20 years ago, and there was so much pain and stuff in there. You think it was 20 years ago, it's sort of gone, right? But that was back when we got born again. That was back when we were on our journey. And it wasn't that long ago. And it wasn't just the war. It was atrocity. Like they mass murdered people with machetes and cutting arms off and did stuff that was unthinkable. And so now, they had like 4 different groups fighting each other. So now I might have killed your brother, and all of a sudden I come to Christ, now we come to church together. That's the kind of stuff that some are dealing with. They're trying to work it out between them, but there's pain in their generations of what happened back there. And so some of that stuff came out in a very, very real way. There's Lillian with her special Uganda dress on. There we're going to town the last day. We're like sandwiched in the back. They only had one vehicle, and it was almost smoldering warm, and the guy was afraid to open the windows because he was cold. And I'm like, man, it was mid-70s, and we're almost we're sandwiched back there, but we made it. Then we did some street shopping. That's every once in a while a car comes down the road there trying to get through. But I don't know who decided to set up in those streets, but everybody just set up, and that's where they did a bunch of street shopping. Get all kinds of stuff. Rebecca Liz wanted a dress, and soon she had all kinds of people trying to sell her stuff. It's like, it doesn't take long, Anybody who has any kind of money, man, they're on you. They want to help you out and sell you stuff. And another thing that was interesting in our house, we had all the door latches were busted except the one going outside. In all the rooms, all the bathrooms in each room, they were all busted out. Like, you could just open it. Except one spare bathroom didn't have the door block busted. And one day we were going to leave, and Rebecca Liz went in there. And she knocked herself in the room, and we were going out to leave, and she wasn't coming. I went back in, and she's hollering, somebody get her out of there. She said she didn't get claustrophobic, so we had a good laugh over that one, like with the rescue her out of the bathroom. Because the outside lock worked, but not the inside one. So that was funny. There, the guys head to town. I don't know why they didn't put more on. Maybe they're out of stuff, but it's just you haul as much as you can on a pickup truck, right? And another thing that happens, like if you turn around, like if you miss a road, you just turn around in the middle of the road. Like all the traffic is coming this way, and you just stop and you turn around, and You're like, man, the guy's coming. I hope he has a brakes, or otherwise we're going to be hit. But you just turn around, you do your thing. Everybody stops till you turn around. And so it's not like you pull off and back around and wait till something's coming to pull out. You just turn around. Is what is. What do you think that is? Lillian's searching for a treasure. There we were. So we were sitting there the last evening debriefing, and all of a sudden this mouse goes flying past the floor in front of us. They don't, like, the doors don't have it. It's nothing like privacy. The doors are open on the bottoms and stuff. And we go over in my room, and I'm thinking, I'm packing out. It's fine. I can stay in there. And soon we heard the screams coming out of the girls' room. There's a mouse in there. Anyway, we left it live. We didn't do anything with it. There, we decided the last night, it was raining every night. We didn't use the pool. That we got at least experience the pool. So it was pouring down rain, and we went and jumped into the pool. All of us had a pool party the last night for 20 minutes or whatever, with the rain coming. So it was experience. No, the water machine. This is actually the water machine we put in last year to start generating some ponds, because water is a pretty big thing, not over the rainy season, but otherwise in the year it's a pretty big deal to make water. So we're trying to generate funds that can help supply the school so we can do other things, not just take the same children through school there every year. So this is the water machine pumping water out. Reminds me of the chain link wire we were at Masterlink. So there's a big demand for water over there. Big demand to sell water. You go down the road with your trucks and people come out and buy water from you. Huh? Yeah, it's packing water. It's coming off of a line, running through town. You got to pay for the water, and then you sell the water packet. They're packing it up, and there's a whole bunch of them ready to be shipped out. You know, they put it on the back of your truck, and you drive down the road, and you sort of know people stop you off and get different things of water. So here we're getting ready to head to the airport, and it was like 12:30 at night, 1 o'clock, and we go down the road and hit the main road, and all of a sudden, out over there, nobody has guns. Nobody's allowed to have guns because they're ever since the war, they're not allowed to have guns. Maybe even the police don't carry guns, but maybe back in the special forces somewhere, some people have guns. But anyway, we come up to a checkpoint in the road, and the road's blockaded off, and two guys come walking over toward us with guns in their hands. And right away we're thinking, Haiti, or what is this? You have to take your thoughts captive, and the driver's like, oh, I don't know what this is about. And then he walked over, and he opened the window a little bit, like, what's going on? Like, well, I wonder where we're going. I told him to the airport. Both vehicles, yep. And I guess apparently they're allowed to use guns from 12 to 5, whoever is barricading the road, because they shut the place down at 12 o'clock to try to keep order, which is actually sort of nice, because the last time we went in through there was people everywhere through the streets, and this time it was actually only a few people around because they were shut down, the roads were shut down. But there again, people travel at night with no lights, trucks coming toward you, no lights on, people just look. They look out for each other, I guess. And then we're almost like about 20 minutes from the airport, our car started giving out. It's plutzing along, and we're praying to go up the hill, like somehow the thing holds together, because you don't want to be stranded beside the road. Thankfully, they had another vehicle behind us, but even there, they don't like letting a vehicle out over the road because you might not have it there the next morning. The tires are off or something. And so, thankfully, it held together, and they were able to get it back to the original owner. So, we're glad for that. Here we're heading out. That's a big monster jet there. There was our airport food. Some donors gave Aaron a bunch of money and said, this is money that you're supposed to buy at the airport to replenish yourself. This is food money. This money for food at the airport, nothing else. I want you to enjoy your time, your 4 hours that you have to go and get a good meal. So we tried a bunch of food out. It was good. heading out through. Just interesting as you head up over the clouds, just to see the separation as it goes. It's just, and then sitting beside this guy on the way back, and got to talking to him about what he believes and what his vision of life is and stuff, and found out he's a chief over 100,000 people in Sierra Leone, which is a town the next country over, and he's also a member of the parliament, and so he's a pretty high-ranking person. So we just got to talking to him, and I don't know what that connection meant, but I just thought it was interesting how we sitting beside each other. On the way over as well, there was a guy right behind us that was with a civic justice department or something, and he's wondering what we're doing, and he gave us his card and said, I want to meet up with you guys sometime. So I don't know what that connection is. That we didn't really explore that part of it this time, but it seemed like there was definitely connections being made bigger than just our trip itself. And then the day we left, they had a massive flood. Like the next day, this is the same parking lot where we walked in every day, in and out. That night, the next morning, this is what it looked like from their compound. And there again, they have a little issue with, they need to raise this up because the township did something, the government, they dumped a bunch of extra water, just comes off the road, they don't have any money to fix it, and so somehow it gives extra flooding. Like this never happened before, they said, that water came the whole way up to their church building. So what they're looking to do is taking some of those buildings down, building it up, and then making the school there in the back temporary, but they have to build it up and get it ready for the school year. But there again, it's just water, all kinds of water. Testimonies of our trip. These are testimonies I just received this morning of things that happened over there. I just copied them over, just an encouragement to you, your prayers, your support, your things that we're pressing into. God was moving. He said, I received many testimonies on the power of the Word of God that came with clarity, authority, and power. There are a few notable ones at the moment. One is a lady dropped to the ground as you prayed for her, anointed her during the impartation service. She was a caregiver in a school before she started experiencing insanity. Her pastor brought her to the impartation service, and after the anointing and prayer, she got healed immediately, and she recovered from the manifestation. Her pastor confirmed her testimony, and she is now perfectly healed. So that was a lady that was, we had 3 different lines, we're anointing and praying for people, and this lady come up through, and I started praying for her, and as I'm speaking, all of a sudden she starts manifesting and holding ears shut and screaming and going through all kinds of stuff and crumbled to the floor, and they just took her to the side, and we kept on going. And afterwards, I went back to her because I was like, did she find freedom? Did she actually break through? And she seemed perfectly fine. I laid my hand on her, prayed for her, and I didn't know what it was, but this is actually the lady he's talking about, that she was experiencing insanity and she got set free. So that's the power of the Lord when you just go in obedience and just share and minister the Word of God. Here's another one. Said there was an altar call that was made after you preached on offenses and how it keeps people under bondage of the enemy. A pastor testified on Monday that he's been struggling with bitterness and unforgiveness. But after he took a bold step of faith from his seat to the altar call, after he confessed, he felt light and free. He said he went to his church the next day, last Sunday, which had less than 30 members in the past years. After he was prayed for on Saturday, people started flocking in his service that Sunday, and he had to go rent extra chairs. Almost like he's just stuck there, and all of a sudden he got rid of his offenses, and that morning in church, people just kept coming, and he had to go get more chairs because of that. Third one is the lady testified she came to the program with a strong stomach pain, but after she was anointed by Brother Aaron Fisher, 2 things happened. The first was when Brother Aaron declared a prophecy over her life that was a confirmation of a prophecy spoken over her life years ago, and he was so accurate. The second miracle she received was when she went home, she experienced a discharge, and surprising things came out of her system. Since then, she has been perfectly well. And he said, I sent you a video with a pastor lady who was lying on the floor as we were praying. She said her son was home very sick with leukemia, but after the meeting, she went home and met her son sitting up by the grace of God. And so this is faith builders in our lives as we continue to believe that God is still able to do miracles. God's still able to do these things as we continue to press in for more. Here's another one came in. A pastor testified he'd been given up in ministry because of the difficulties he faced raising a church and was planning on leaving the country for greener pastures. But Brother Daniel's testimony restored his hopes that God would come through for him. As Daniel was just sharing on faith and of how he's walking in faith by starting this church underneath a tree, it just gave him new hope. One testimony is just coming in from our Sunday service this morning. A pastor received a call while he was in the Breakthrough Summit that his father was rushed to the hospital. But he decided to stay through the program, and before the ending of the summit, his father received a miracle of healing. There was a pastor's faith was just believed by faith he could get healed. And another one was almost everyone testified to the teaching on faith and identity. But one particular pastor called me and with a tearful voice kept thanking me for organizing this Breakthrough Summit. He said he was at a point in his life where he thought that God had forgotten him. But as he heard the teaching of the levels of faith, and our identity in Christ Jesus, he wept during the prayer time and was revived and restored by the grace of God. There again, one thing that I'm seeing is the message of faith and the message of identity is no matter where you go in the world, we need faith. We need to build each other up in faith. We need to encourage each other. And everybody needs just a new hope and a new faith. And then the last one says, the most common prayer request I received from the meeting is for the Lord to help empower them to start some form of business that will break the power of poverty and set back by the grace of God. And so, like I said, between that and we want to look at seeing what we can do with that. So where do we go from here? One thing is we plan to do monthly Zoom calls with the pastors over there. First Tuesday of the month at 2 o'clock every month. We're going to have anyone want to get on, share prayer requests, share praise reports, be encouragement one to another. Microfinance programs. We want to start a microfinance program this year where people come together, they apply for a loan, and you have to come up with the three people. Like if, say, Danny, Jason, and I would be in a program together. If I wouldn't pay, they would have to pay mine. So it holds accountability on the end over there. We put some teeth in where you're not just going to go into a loan program with a group that you don't trust or that you don't believe is going to help pay their share of it off. And so it puts some teeth, so to speak, into it where it's not just a free-for-all. And another thing that's a problem over there is they charge 25% interest and hardly anybody can get a loan. And it's almost impossible for them to actually thrive because of where the government has everything. And so we're looking at doing something with maybe half that interest and maybe doing like a donor where we maybe give 5 or 6% for somebody who wants to give a loan toward it. Ideally, it would be money that people would just put in there and we would not tell them that it's not a loan. We would just use it for the next people as they pay it off. But that's what we're looking to is maybe doing something like a 15% interest and helping them. But even they have all kinds of fields over there that don't have anything planted because they can't afford seed. Nobody lets them have seed and stuff. And it's just like, it's really a great nation. It can rise. It just needs some governance and some bigger vision of what can happen. And the third thing is we want to start, that we've been asked to do meetings down in Guinea and Sierra Leone, like we did up here in Liberia, which shows the countries right beside there. So there's a lot of momentum over the meetings. Every day it was powerful. The God came and visited, and the next day more people came. And by the last day, when people were coming because they were hearing about these meetings that were going on. And so they want us to go down to Guinea and do some of these other places. And Daniel really has a heart to take teams. Daniel Wilder's vision to take young men and women into these cities and preach and share the gospel. He was saying that this week, for the last morning, we're challenging him like he's had some stuff inside him that wasn't coming out. And so we sort of challenged him that morning, when's he going to get on to it? Like, get on with your purpose God has you for. And that day, through the service, he said it was released from something that was shutting him down for the last 2.5 years. He got set free from it. And so, it's not just over there. We all experience stuff that when you go in a setting like that, everybody receives. Everybody gives, everybody receives. And so he brought out a vision that he typed out, which I can share later sometime, of what he wants to see with training young men and women and taking them into these places where people are hopeless and don't have any clothes or don't have any whatever, and just preach and share the gospel and bring hope to these areas. And so that's what he would think would possibly go with our meeting that we go in January to some of these places, is take a young team that will be trained before we go a few days and take them in these places. Then how you can help. one thing is you can pray for the school. It's going to take finances. We want to raise like $45,000 to pay the half of those 221 school costs. Invest or donate into the microfinance program. Donate toward the children's education. Bring awareness to others. Share flyers. Help with fundraising. And maybe go along the next time. Somebody wants a challenge, wants to expand their own level of yeah. And then just to wrap up here, what is the mission of Empowering Generations? That is the organization that we're started over there. Our mission is to raise up a generation of life changers that will eradicate poverty through the advancement of affordable education and development of profitable businesses. The vision is to provide education to children and families that can't afford regular school costs so that no child's left behind. To create small businesses that contribute to a thriving economy and eradicate poverty. To empower and equip local churches to serve their communities. The values is build a culture of honesty. Treat everyone with love and respect. Do unto others you would have them to do unto you. Use integrity in all your financial dealings. Be trustworthy in every area of life. And the purpose is to see the health of the nation of Liberia restored and for the glory of God to be released over everyone. And I believe that there's something that God is doing there. Like I said, there's something about when our faith enters in with their faith. And the thing about this is like right around a little over 250 pastors were there the last time. These were pastors and leaders that are going to go back into their own congregations. And when you can impart faith into their lives and they can impart faith into their people's hearts, things can continue to shift. And so I do believe that there was a shift that happened. I know it was a shift that happened. We left a bunch of books there, all our teachings and everything that they can use. And so I'm excited to see what God will do with all that as it continues to grow. And like I said, I believe you will see eternal rewards yourself from what you pour into that place and organizing the fundraiser to get the money for the trip and stuff like that. It's not just a one person. It couldn't have been done by just one or two people, but it was actually a group effort. So, yeah, in closing, how you can help Liberia, send checks to Empowering Generations, P.O. Box 104 Intercourse, PA 17534, or go online, empoweringgen.com. So, yeah, that's a summary of our trip. It was challenging and exciting, and I was also thinking on the way back as I'm flying out across the Atlantic Ocean for 7 hours straight, like, we are in the hand of God. The grace and mercies of God are carrying us. If this plane goes down, we're history. We're 7 hours from whatever. But, you trust the Lord and you relax and you just let Him take you. But it's still a reality when you're flying that far off the coast and stuff that you're trusting God to just take you there. And so, yeah, God proved to be faithful. We started one evening and got back the next morning, and then as soon as our phones turned on, we realized we were in the day before. Like, we gained a day. Like, we were in tomorrow, and we came back into yesterday. So that was a different experience. Gained 5 hours. So. Anyway, any questions or comments or thoughts or